In programming, we often need to perform chance operations such as shuffling data, sampling, simulating the roll of a die, or generating unpredictable values. In Python, we can access a dedicated module with a host of powerful functions designed especially for tasks like these, packaged within the standard library. To access these, we can import random at the top of our script. Now let's dive in and explore exactly what's possible with the random module. Let's create a new variable called random value and initialize it by calling random.random. This will generate a single floating point number that is always greater than or equal to 0.0 but less than 1.0. We'll use the print function to see random value. Every time we run the program, a different floating point number is printed to the screen. Suppose, however, we want to generate a floating point number from a broader range, perhaps encompassing negative values and higher positive numbers. For this, we can call random.uniform. As arguments, we must specify the lowest and highest possible values. Let's try it with -100 and 100.5. These bounds are inclusive, meaning the function could return -100, 100.5, or any value in between. We'll run the program to confirm that we can now generate a float based on our range. To generate integers, the module provides two functions, each with slightly different behavior. Randint allows us to specify two integers representing lower and upper bounds. We'll use -100 and 100. When called, the function will then return an integer from this range, including both endpoints. Randrange also returns a random integer based on a range we specify, but the upper bound is exclusive. To replicate our previous example using randrange, we must provide -100 as the lower bound and 101 as the upper bound. This ensures that we always get a value from -100 up to, but not including 101. Randrange also includes an optional third argument that allows us to specify an increment. For example, with the step of 2, the possible outcomes will be limited to every other value within our range. Therefore, when we run the program, only even values are now generated. We can use the random module to select randomly from a sequence. We'll create a list of elements and determine our random value by calling random.choice. When provided with any type of sequence like a range, string, tuple, or the list we just created, this function randomly selects an element from it. Each time the program runs, the result could be any one of the elements in the list. Random.choices allows us to create a new list by randomly selecting elements from an existing sequence. To see how this works, we'll rename our variable as randomList and assign it to the result of calling random.choices. We'll pass myList as the first argument to indicate that all elements in the new list should be selected from myList. By default, a new list will be created with a single element, but we can customize the size of the new list using the keyword argument k. Let's use k equals 10. When we run this, we see a new list of 10 elements, some of which repeat, randomly selected from myList. We can control the likelihood of each element being chosen by applying probability weights to the sequence. There are two ways to do this. With the weights keyword argument, we can define a list of weights corresponding to the elements in the list. Python normalizes these weights so they don't need to add up to a specific total like 1 or 100. For example, let's use the list 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. This means that the first three elements are equally likely to be selected. The fourth element is twice as likely to be selected as each of the first three elements. The fifth element is 3 times more likely to be selected than each of the first three elements. Expressed as percentages, each of the first three elements have a 12.5% chance of being selected. The fourth element has a 25% chance, and the fifth element has a 37.5% chance of being selected. We can alternatively use the cumweights argument to specify cumulative probabilities. Instead of individual weights, this approach relies on accumulated totals where each value represents the sum of all previous weights up to that point. For example, the same weighting of 1, 1, 1, 2, 3 can be expressed cumulatively as 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. As before, when we run the program, we see a list of 10 elements randomly selected from myList, but because of the weights we applied, the first two elements from the original list are more likely to appear and do so more frequently. Similar to choices is the sample function, which also creates a new list by randomly selecting elements from a sequence. Unlike choices, however, sample will not select the same element from the original list more than once, so the number of elements in the new list cannot exceed the size of the original list. Think of it like pulling items from a bag without replacing them. We are creating a subsection of the original population. To use random.sample, we must provide as arguments a sequence to sample from and the number of elements we want to select. Each time we run our example, a new list is created containing 3 elements randomly selected from my list. We can allow elements to be sampled more than once by including duplicate elements in the original sequence or through sample's optional counts keyword argument. Counts requires a list where each value represents the maximum number of times its corresponding element may be sampled. In our example, we'll specify that each of the first 3 elements may only be sampled once, but the 4th and 5th elements may be sampled twice. Even when elements can repeat in this way, we are still creating a subsection of the original population. It's similar to randomly choosing items from a bag that contains duplicates. This differs from specifying weights, where the probability of selection is independent of the number of times an element has already been chosen. Here, the presence of duplicates or the use of the counts argument directly limits how often an element can appear in the final sample. Another common chance operation is to reorder the elements in a sequence. For this, the random module provides the shuffle function. To use it, we'll call random.shuffle and provide a sequence as an argument. The function then shuffles our sequence in place and does not return a new one. Therefore, to view the result, we'll print mylist after the shuffle. Each time the program runs, the elements in mylist now appear in a different order. Since shuffle modifies the sequence in place, it only works on mutable sequences like lists. If we want to shuffle an immutable sequence such as a tuple or string, we first need to convert it into a list before shuffling and then convert it back to its original type if needed. Several other functions allow us to generate values based on specific probability distributions. Random.triangular generates a random floating point number between bounds that we specify as arguments. This is similar to what we've already seen with random.uniform, except the triangular function uses a triangular probability distribution. This means the likelihood of selecting a value peaks at a certain point, creating a distribution shaped like a triangle. This peak defaults to the midpoint of our range, but an optional third argument, mode, lets us set this to any point in the range. Values near the peak are most likely, while those near the low and high boundaries are least likely. If we run the program a few times with bounds of 0 and 100 and a mode of 20, we'll notice the values generated tend to cluster around 20. Additionally, the random module includes functions to generate values based on other distributions, including exponential, gamma, log normal, Gaussian, normal, circular, Pareto, and Weibull. Using functions from the random module, we've seen that we generate different random values every time we run the same program. However, Python doesn't generate truly random values. Instead, it implements an algorithm to produce results that only appear random. These are called pseudo-random values. By default, the random module uses the system clock on our computer as the initial value or seed for its algorithm, and since our clock changes constantly, the results are effectively unpredictable. In many instances, though, we may want to reproduce the same results every time. We can do this by setting our own seed. Before generating a value, we'll initialize the pseudo-random number generator with random.seed, passing any float or integer. For any given seed, the program will always generate the same value. Even without setting the seed ourselves, we can capture the state of the pseudo-random number generator with random.getState, allowing us to later return to that state and reproduce the same results. To demonstrate, we'll first save the initial state by calling random.getState. After generating and printing our random value, we'll call random.setState using initial state as the argument. This restores the original state, so that when we generate and print another random value, we replicate the first result. Please like and subscribe if you found this helpful. Leave your feedback, thoughts, and suggestions in the comments section below, and thank you for watching.